Hello everyone. Today's case is on yet another missing Indigenous mother who vanished just a couple years ago from Canada's Maritime. To this day, there are no answers, but hopefully spreading the word on her case could lead to new eyes and new tips. Erin Brooks was born on May 24th of 1983 to her mother Lori and had 3 sisters, 2 of them named Amy and Morgan. They're part of the Wolastoqey First Nations, their family moving around a lot in the younger years. Lori saying that they weren't wealthy, but her daughters never went without. Growing up, Erin was said to be a happy child, always smiling and finding things to preoccupy herself with. Her mother Lori saying she was tenacious, boisterous, and would argue with the devil himself. However, as she got older, she began to have issues with her temper and would begin sneaking out of the house. After this began, Erin started losing herself in the party scene and drinking. At only 15 years old, Erin would give birth to her first son, who she'd named Austin. By 17, Erin would give birth to her second child, Liam. Morgan saying, and I quote, "She was forced to grow up pretty quick and she struggled. She was still a child having children and she wanted to do kid things." End quote. Their mother Lori saying, and I quote, "It just spiraled out of control from there. And it wasn't that she didn't love her family, but she had an addiction problem, and we all know how addiction goes. You tend to wipe everything and everybody out of your life who isn't into that addiction." End quote. It truly seemed like after this, Erin began to hide her addiction and that darker side of her life from her family, that higher risk lifestyle she was living. Her sisters saying that a lot of the times they didn't really know what she was doing. But despite all of that, Erin was still very close with her family. Her sister Morgan talked very fondly about how she missed going on long drives and getting coffee with Erin because that was their favorite thing to do. Just drive around, grab a coffee, drive some more, and just chat and listen to music. Saying that they didn't have any particular destination in mind, but rather a love for being together, sipping coffee. Erin was also described as fun, outspoken, and very family-oriented. She was kind and caring, but her mental health wasn't doing the greatest. The family would eventually move back to an area called St. Mary's First Nation. St. Mary's is located in the north part of New Brunswick's capital of Fredericton, a city 100 kilometers north of St. John. There, Erin would eventually meet a man named Chris Fowler, who was a doorman at a bar that she frequented. The night they met, Chris was working the door, and Erin actually got thrown out of the bar for throwing a drink on someone. And I guess after Erin got kicked out, they got chatting, and the two ended up kicking it off. They'd fallen in love, and eventually would go on to have 2 children of their own together, a son and a daughter. Family said that Erin, Chris, and their 4 kids were a happy family, and they were doing really well together for a while. Erin finally seemed fully happy in life. They had just gotten a new home, and there are so many photos of her and her little family together smiling and being silly. But sadly, that wouldn't last. Erin would begin struggling with her mental health again, and again, she would begin struggling with her addiction. Her husband, Chris, saying that at this point, Erin actually began staying away from home quite often. They began to see her less and less because she didn't want her children to see her in that state. And when the family realized that Erin needed professional help, they offered for her to go to rehab. Her mother Lori even got paperwork together to send her to a facility out west to get treatment. However, Erin never got to sign those papers. Erin was only 38 years old in 2021. Her family last seeing her on Christmas Day. Later that night, Erin showed up at her mother Lori's home, which was where everyone had gathered on Christmas Day to spend time together and eat a good meal. According to the family, when Erin came in, everything seemed normal. She got a plate of food and ate it, and she finished it off with a slice of homemade cheesecake. After this, she gave her mother a hug and a kiss, telling her that her father was going to give her a drive across the river to downtown Fredericton. Erin walking out the door on Christmas Day was the last time that her mother would ever see her again. Lori saying, and I quote, "When I tell you we don't know anything, I mean we don't know anything. We wish we knew where to look or where to go. But you know, when you're not involved in that world, that's a foreign country to us." End quote. The last time Morgan had talked to her sister, she had actually heard some unsettling things about Erin. And so she texted Erin about these things and offered to help her. But Erin didn't seem to want help. She wanted to be left alone, saying that no one could help her. 4 days later, on December 29th, Erin's son Liam would show up at his Aunt Morgan's home, saying that they hadn't seen his mother for 2 days. Hearing this instantly made the family realize that something was very wrong. So Morgan immediately called the police and filed a missing persons report. From then on, everyone began looking for Erin, from family to the community members. Searches were conducted in the woods surrounding Fredericton, to places where she was known to go. Family began driving around and around, just hoping that they would find her somewhere. But Erin was nowhere to be found. But the one thing the family did know was that Erin would never run away. It would turn out that before Erin's disappearance, she had openly posted on Facebook that if anything had ever happened to her, she hadn't ran away. In a press release, it was revealed that Erin had posted on her Facebook about missing and murdered Indigenous women back in 2018. On this post, she wrote, and I quote, I am a strong Maliseet woman. I am content. If there ever comes a time where I disappear, where I go for groceries and do not return, where I go run errands and do not return, please know I did not voluntarily leave my family. I am not out partying. I did not go and unalive myself somewhere. If I do not return home, know that someone took me against my will or worse. Do not make excuses as to why I may not have returned home, because it is a lie. Look for me. Please. End quote. Reading that the first time and just reading it again now for you all gave me chills, because that is the issue with cases like this. If someone has a past or is known to party and do drugs or any other activities that are deemed as a high-risk lifestyle, normally their disappearance isn't looked into as well, and they're written off as just being out there somewhere, having ran off to, party. But Erin outright said it herself. She would not run off. She wouldn't hurt herself. Past Erin was looking out for future Erin. If she disappeared, she wanted to be found. She wanted people searching for her. She would want people to spread the word. And what that means to me is that now that Erin hadn't been seen for days, something very bad had happened to her, and she needed help. People tried to contact Erin after her disappearance, but her phone seemed to be off, which was never a good sign. But despite her past, police actually did begin to look into Erin's disappearance. But very quickly into the investigation, police began to believe that Erin's disappearance meant she was most likely a victim of foul play or homicide. What they found to indicate that, I'm not sure, but police usually don't just say that lightly. In the midst of all of this, vigils would be held and Erin's family would continue to petition for her to be found.
Please get a hold of someone somehow. Anyone, it doesn't matter. And if she's scared to come home after all this time, don't be. Because the pain that we're going through and not knowing where she is, if she's okay, it's horrible. This is awful. I wouldn't wish this on anyone.
But finally, there would be a break in the case. As I said, Erin's son had claimed that no one had heard from his mother for 2 days. Well, it would turn out that Erin had last been spotted on December 27th of 2021. That day, Erin would end up being captured on surveillance video inside St. Mary's Smoke Shop, located at 159 Cliff Street in the north part of Fredericton across the river. In the video, Erin is said to be seen standing in line waiting to purchase cigarettes. Police have said that she was with at least one other individual at the time, and that when leaving the smoke shop, she got into a silver sedan. That begs the question, who is this person that was with her and who was in that vehicle? Who owns that vehicle? Police believe that after Erin and these friends ended up leaving in that silver sedan, they drove back across the river to downtown Fredericton to a friend's address, and then she'd later leave that address with unknown individuals. It's unknown, however, if she walked away from that friend's address in downtown Fredericton or if she drove away in a vehicle again. But where Erin and these individuals went after leaving that address in downtown Fredericton, no one knows. But things would get scarier because police would end up also finding out that Erin may have witnessed a murder on December 21st, just days before her disappearance. That day, there had been a shooting on Paul Street in Fredericton's north side, where a 41-year-old man named Corey Markey was hit and would later die in hospital. Corey was said to be a heavy truck mechanic that worked throughout Canada mostly on big trucks and had 4 children. This all went down at a location where Erin was known to go to with individuals she was known to associate with. A Reddit post would later come out from an anonymous individual that would claim just that, including that Erin's remains would either be found near Minto or Bathurst, and linked her disappearance to the biker gang, the Hells Angels. Police have noted an increase in outlaw biker gangs in Fredericton as well. Erin would also be linked to spending a lot of time with the outlaw motorcycle gang and at their clubhouse. In 2018, it was noted in a CBC article that the Outlaws and the Hells Angels had a rivalry in New Brunswick, resulting in violence. The article reading, and I quote, "The Outlaws operate in New Brunswick through the Black Pistons, a support club with a chapter in Fredericton, police say. Violence erupted between Angels Quebec members and the Black Pistons somewhere in the Fredericton area in October of 2016. The most recent incident happening in May, although in the Fredericton area, with Angels clashing directly with outlaw members." End quote. So that begs the question, did Erin get herself tangled between 2 very violent motorcycle gangs? What I find very interesting is that her husband Chris actually is part of a motorcycle club as well, called Warriors MC, which seems to be an Indigenous motorcycle club. And Chris very publicly is a part of it, as you can see from his social media posts. According to their website, Warriors MC's goal is to serve God, preserve First Nations Native American culture and rights while riding our motorcycles and protecting our families, sharing Native American culture and traditions, sharing grandmother's teachings to honor and stand secure together as a military veteran warrior society against both domestic and foreign terrorists, riding motorcycles as a family with like-minded warriors and veterans of all nations and races, teaching our children the way of our people, the real true human beings, and the joy of serving the Creator God, and to honor and stand secure together as a military veteran warrior society against both domestic and foreign terrorists, to preserve the rights of the Constitution of the United States and the laws of the Creator's God. So they have a lot of goals, you could say. According to Online as well, Chris also is an amateur heavyweight MMA fighter nicknamed the Silverback. But not all motorcycle clubs are bad. There are tons and tons of people who just love riding motorcycles and, want to come together and just enjoy that hobby together. Chris not only is a part of an Indigenous motorcycle club, but he also has been preaching about missing and murdered Indigenous women and his missing wife since she's gone missing across his social medias.
Hey, TikTok. I just want to talk about something. MMIW stands for Murdered and Missing Indigenous Women. There are a lot of them, and my wife is one of them. She's been missing for 125 days. We have 2 small children together. It's been an incredibly hard time, and we're getting by as best we can. And today I found a little piece at Mark for Life Tattoos with Jason McCaw. And I just want to share with you. This is a symbol for murdered, missing Indigenous women. You're not forgotten. I love you, Erin.
Erin's case is also featured in an episode of Never Seen Again, which streams on Paramount Plus, which her family participated in. I'll have it linked below so you can go and watch the full thing. I got a lot of information on this case today from that, and it's a very interesting documentary on it.
Erin Brooks' family is hoping this true crime show will bring them some answers. The Indigenous mother of 4 was last seen in Fredericton on December 27th, 2021, at a gas station on the city's north side. And like the title of the show, she was never seen again.
I wasn't sure if I wanted to watch it because I knew it was going to take me back to basically day one. But I did watch it, and it was very emotional.
It's closing in on 2 years since Brooks disappeared. Her family participated in the American TV show that streams on Paramount Plus.
But it was well put together, and it got our message out there, and that was really, really important, that everybody knows what's going on and Erin's face and our plight to find her.
Well, it's definitely dual emotions. It makes me happy that they're shining a light on the epidemic that is MMIW. So it's a double-edged sword, It hurts tremendously to watch it, but I feel like if I watch it, it takes me closer to her, brings her closer to me.
A couple of months after she was reported missing, Fredericton police announced they were treating her disappearance as suspicious and likely the victim of foul play. There's a $65,000 reward, and her family won't rest until Brooks is found.
I don't even know if I've grieved yet, and I don't know if I'll be able to until everything is settled.
I hope that it reaches somebody who knows something, and I don't even care if it's guilt. Whatever it is, that they just pass on the information that can bring her home. We don't care who you are.
Sadly, there isn't that much information on Erin's disappearance even 3 years later. It brings up the question that we often ask in cases where individuals are addicted to alcohol or substances, whether they may have overdosed at someone's home and the people that were there panicked and covered it up, because maybe if police are involved or police come to their home, they could get in trouble for other things. Police have said that Erin was last seen leaving with certain individuals, so it really does make me wonder if the theories may be true, that maybe she witnessed something she shouldn't have and she was taken out because of it. It makes me wonder if these individuals could be involved with some of these motorcycle clubs, and if a group like that did something to her, she could have been taken anywhere truly. It also makes me wonder if she could be trafficked somewhere. The city of Fredericton has a large drug problem surrounding drugs like meth. This isn't an isolated thing there. It's actually a large pandemic there, and Erin seemed to be sucked into it. But she wasn't just that. She was a mother, she was a wife, she was a sister, a daughter, a friend. She didn't want to be an addict. No one truly does. She was trapped in a cycle, and she loved her children so much that she didn't want them to see her like that. So she stayed away. But if Erin was involved with criminals and possible gangs, it makes me wonder if we will ever get answers, because people like that normally don't talk. So it makes me wonder how these answers can be gotten. But the one thing I do know is that Erin wanted us to talk about this. She wants to be found. She said it herself. And despite all of her struggles, she deserves to be found. Erin's family desperately wants answers. They want to know what happened to her. They want her to be found. They don't have closure, and they want closure. On days off, Erin's family still spends time searching for her. It doesn't matter if it's snowing or raining, they are out there searching. But one of the big problems is, since Erin's family wasn't involved or kind of let in on kind of the stuff she was involved in and the people she was hanging out with, they don't really know where to look. And on top of that, if she was involved with possibly dangerous individuals, it's not very safe for her family to be going into those certain areas. When police have been reached out to by the media, they've only responded saying that the investigation is still underway and they don't have any updates, which we do often hear in cases like this, because as I always say, Canadian police don't like to reveal much. Despite this, shockingly for once, the family here, Erin's family, feels like the police are actually doing something and that they are searching for Erin, which is a breath of fresh air because we don't often hear that. Erin's family say that the police are very responsive when they contact them. Whenever the family calls for updates or any questions, the police are there to talk to them, which is very good. Clearly, they have a good system going on there. At this time, an anonymous donor has offered a $65,000 reward for any information that leads to finding Erin. Someone out there knows something, but they're just not coming forward. And if Erin is no longer alive, the family wants to bring her home and lay her to rest. Not only does her mother deserve that, her sisters deserve that, her husband deserve that, her children deserve that. Let's take one more look at Erin in case you may know something. Erin Brooks is described as being about 5 foot 2 inches tall and around 115 pounds. She has brown eyes and black hair with bangs and was last seen wearing blue jeans, a brown jacket, and black boots. If you have any information on Erin's disappearance or where she may be, I'll have the appropriate authorities down below for you to contact. As I said, Erin herself said she wants to be found, so please share out this video, share out her missing persons flyer, share out any information on Erin that you can, so hopefully Erin can be found and her family can get answers. But what do you all think about this information? Also, is there any information out there that I didn't include in this video that you know about? I'll be down in the comment section chatting with you all. Now, before we go, we're going to end off with a very small case that has very little information, but still also deserves to be talked about because this person is still missing. 40-year-old Michael Thomas was last seen on September 11th of 2023 in Edmonton, in the area of White Avenue. After that, he was never seen again. Family and friends saying that his lack of contact is out of character. Michael is said to be 5 foot 10 inches tall, around 160 pounds, with short dark hair, brown eyes, and may wear glasses. He has a large Z tattoo on the front of his neck and is missing the pinky on his right hand. Thomas is also known to go by Ren or Renegade. Sadly, that's all the information we have on Michael. Simply, he was last seen on September 11th on White Avenue or in that area, and that's it. Which, sadly, cases like this never get talked about, which is why I want to start integrating them, more and more into videos like this, because Michael's missing. No one would ever know that, because how are you supposed to talk about a case like that on a YouTube video? You could share it on something like Twitter or something maybe, but to create a whole video on essentially a sentence is very hard. But Michael deserves to be found just as anyone else does. So I'm truly hoping Michael's family can eventually get answers. If anyone out there has any information on Michael's disappearance, the contact information for police regarding his case is also below. My heart goes out to Erin's family. I truly do hope they get answers. Michael's family as well. And as always, I hope you all stay safe out there. Lock your windows and doors. And I hope to see you in the next video.